Hey everybody, Jeff Flesh here. I'm really looking forward to meeting all of you and working through this program together over the next 3 years. Um, so I grew up in Los Angeles, and in Los Angeles, my parents were not college educated, which just means I was a first generation non-traditional student when I went to school. I tried to go to school when I was 17 or 18. I didn't have the skill set. But what I did have was a skill set that my parents gave me inside of working. And so I went to work and worked in the private sector for 16 years, mostly in sales and sales management for companies like Frito-Lay, Coca-Cola, these kinds of companies, US Food Service. And then when I was 33, well, actually we moved. So I was married to my ex-wife at that time, have two boys, they're both in Portland. And during that time, we decided to move out to Arizona. And so I got a job with US Foods out there, sold our home in LA, went out there. And then that was like 2007 when the economy like took a tank and home values went down. And so during that time, we decided to go ahead and go up to Flagstaff, and I went back to school. Actually, both of us did. And I went back to school at Northern Arizona University, where I got a bachelor's of science in sociology with an emphasis in family studies. And so then I did a year of graduate school there, but the fit wasn't quite right. And so I applied to a bunch of different schools. They all needed to have family housing. And Oregon State University was the one that gave me the best package. And so I came up here to Corvallis, Oregon to do my graduate studies. I have a master's in family studies and human development. And while I was in school, I was a research assistant and also a teaching assistant. So I was a teaching assistant for these human development classes like child development, sexuality, contemporary families, all these different kinds of courses. And I taught some of those. And then now I live in Philomath, and which is like 4 miles from Corvallis. And so when I finished my master's degree, I wanted to go into education and stay in education. I was actually in a PhD program at Oregon State, but that didn't work out. Wasn't a right fit after my master's. So I left and I went to Lynn-Benton Community College, which is just down the street from Oregon State. And I got a marketing manager job, which actually aligned really well with my previous work experience in the private sector, and then my education. And so I did that for about a year and a half. And then the director of extended learning opened up and I went out for that and got that. And that was a brand new position, never been before at the college. And so it was taking these non-credit programs like driver ed, personal enrichment, community education, professional development, small business development center, and putting them together. And so it was a really awesome experience, really difficult at first for the first year or two, because it was like starting up a new business. So I was in that role for 5 or 6 years, I think. It was during the pandemic, which was a really crazy time for everyone, everywhere. And so after that, a position opened up for the Corvallis campus and extended learning director position, which I already had the extended learning. And so two buildings got added onto my work right down the street from Oregon State. And I actually did that up until just very recently. And recently my position was cut at the college due to budgetary issues. Community colleges are struggling across the United States right now. And so I'm in transition in between jobs and higher education. And so we'll see where I land, not sure. And so my leadership philosophy is pretty much grounded in servant leadership, which I know some of you already talked about, but it's also in disruptive leadership. And so it seems like a paradox in that servant leadership is about empowerment, but so is disruptive leadership. In language, they sound like they would be different, but they're actually the same or very similar. And so in servant leadership, what I love so much is basically flipping the triangle, if you know about it. And essentially it is that the leader is last, and the frontline staff are first. And it empowers people, it provides a voice. It disrupts the institution anyway, because lots of institutions are run authoritarian, which is to say top down. And that is not servant leadership's way. And then I love disruptive leadership because, power is constructed within institutions and then displayed and funneled down inappropriately. That is to say, with a lot of inequity. And so in disruptive leadership, basically you challenge the status quo on a continual basis and look to disrupt. And you have to be careful because too much disruption and you can lose influence. So there's a balance there. But anyway, both of those philosophies I'm very interested in and have practiced for many, many years. My career goals involve continuing to stay in higher education. I'd like to advance into higher levels of administration. My last job, although director in title, was really a dean role. And so I'd like to, get into the executive level leadership. And mainly that is to affect change. And so as a leader, I always want to affect change and try to provide staff and colleagues the opportunity to, use their voice and affect change for themselves and then for the institutions and organizations that they work for. And basically what that looks like is, choosing the best idea, not Jeff's idea or any particular idea, but the best idea and moving that forward. I'm a firm believer that action is where everything's at. From any perspective, whether it's in human development, organizational development, social justice, it's about action. So we can talk about ideas all day long, but what really matters is what is put into the world, what is created and put into the world. And I think that is something that we all can do. So anyway, name's Jeff Flesch. I'm really looking forward to doing this journey with all of you. I've looked at the videos that have been posted so far. They're awesome. So anyway, that's it for me for now. And I look forward to, like I said, getting to meet all of you and traveling over the next 3 years together. So take care, everybody, and I'll see you in class.